Hello and welcome to another episode of Wilson versus Wilson, where we talk about politics and news and kind of everything. I'm Peter Wilson. This is my co-host.
I'm Jess Wilson. So we're going to start it off with vice versa, which is where we pull a few headlines and we get quick reactions to them. I've got 4 for you today, Peter. So first of all, good news from WKYT. Beshear signs executive order allowing some Kentuckians to use medical cannabis.
I mean, I'm all for medical cannabis. It seems like it's a better move than like opioids, which have created some problems in Kentucky. I don't love executive orders ever. That's the legislature's got to work. I'm just saying. At some point, the legislature has to start passing laws.
Okay, would the legislature do this though?
This one, I think they will soon. I genuinely think they're probably gonna be open to it soon.
Yeah. I mean, maybe open to it, but the thing is, like, 2/3 of bills that are introduced die in the legislature.
Yeah, but that's the problem with the legislature. Not.
Yeah. You gotta fix it somewhere.
Yeah.
I got another one for you from the BBC. Donald Trump says he'll run for president again in 2024.
There's not a lot. I mean, I'm not happy about that. This man should retire. He's old. If it's Trump and Biden in the general election, which I sincerely hope it is not. I hope neither of those men are anywhere near the general election. You would think that like all of the candidates he endorsed doing poorly, in which we're gonna get to, would tell him that maybe people are kind of liking him less, or that he can't win on a national scale. But the man has ego for sure. Ego for days. Also, he only cares about himself. I don't know if you've noticed that. He does not care about the party that he was hooked to or any of those things. He's just like, me, I'm great. Okay, so he said in his announcement, he was like, yo, America was great 2 years ago. Okay, if you think America was great 2 years ago, and you think that that was all destroyed in the work of one president in 2 years, right? Then America wasn't that great 2 years ago.
Was America great at all in
that's a very long argument. But right, if you think America is a great country, right, then theoretically one president in 2 years shouldn't be able to undo that. Anyway, not happy that Trump
Peter's
is running.
getting
I think it's weird that he's declaring this early too.
Yeah,
there's a whole 2 years.
I'm just tired.
Dang,
I don't want to hear.
2 years.
Yeah, I don't want to hear from him. I don't want to hear anything he has to say. I'm tired.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I'm tired of it.
Yeah, have one of his sons run at least. No, I'm kidding.
No, I don't think that would be better.
Yeah, they are less likely to die before they get to the general.
God. Another one from BBC. Iran hands out more death sentences to anti-government protesters. Have you heard much about this?
We talked about it at one time.
No, like lately.
I have not.
Their legislature, this is kind of like a bit of a background for this headline. Their legislature just voted to hand down death sentences for like 1,400 people.
I saw that. No, that sounded like a lot.
Yeah.
Where did I see that though?
It's been reported by a couple of different sites. It's I've been seeing people sharing the document. It's in Farsi, so I haven't read it, but where they made that vote. So, and I think from what I understand, it's not like they have named 1,400 people that they are going to immediately kill. It's more of they have decided that these 1,400 people should be eligible for the death penalty for protesting.
Okay. So it seems like Newsweek originally reported it, and then they corrected their story. There are... Well, this is Al Jazeera. I don't know how.
They're pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the 15,000 figure real? Well, thousands have been arrested in Iran and some have been sentenced to death. The numbers are nowhere near the 15,000 reported. The 15,000 figure is the number of people believed to have been arrested, according to overseas-based human rights and media organizations. The same sources have reported that more than 350 protesters have been killed.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to explain,
okay.
is that they didn't name, like, all 1,400 of these people, these specific individuals, are going to be put to death. It's more of they have decided that protesters involved in this movement are eligible for the death penalty, kind of a thing. So not all the people affected by this decision by their legislature will be put to death because of this decision. It's more of it's kind of like if the U.S. decided out of the blue one day that everyone who has been accused, like who's been arrested and jailed for theft, is now eligible for the death penalty.
They wouldn't, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So it's not like 15,000 people are going to be executed this next week, but like,
yeah,
it's not a good thing.
Theoretically they could be. No one really knows. But your reaction, Peter?
I mean, that's not good. That's horrible.
Yeah.
It's a pretty terrible regime.
Pretty awful. I've also heard specifically there's one case where there is a 3-year-old being held for protesting. So,
not a lot of shame there.
yeah, it's a little, I'll say it again, death to the dictator. So, moving on. Some happy news to finish out the segment from Axios. Colorado voters decriminalized magic mushrooms.
I don't know enough about drugs to...
You don't know... mushroom. You don't know anything about magic mushrooms.
Well, yeah, they're like trippy, right? You know, like...
That's, yeah. I mean, that's the recreational use.
And mushrooms,
indeed.
It seems like a weird thing to criminalize, but...
Yeah. I mean, they are. They're they're hallucinogen. Their scientific name is psilocybin. Fun fact for you.
That's way less cool than magic mushrooms.
Yeah, for sure. But they have legalized it in some uses for medical use. There's actually, this is something I've been keeping an eye on. There have been a couple of different studies about the use of magic mushrooms and separately from the magic mushrooms, but ketamine also. In use for treating depression and anxiety, and they've had some actually really good results.
Ketamine?
Yeah, which you would not think so, but
I'm really curious about those studies.
Not like just freely giving people ketamine.
Well, yeah.
My understanding is it's
go
like
crazy.
Yeah, it's for both the mushrooms and the ketamine. It is a observed
very strict sort of
period where they go in and they're in a medical facility and it is administered like a treatment, and then. Yeah. So, yeah, and then it's also been decriminalized for recreational use. You can grow and use your own magic mushrooms, but right now, from what I understand, you can't sell them.
So are those federally illegal?
Honestly, I have no idea. I can check
because
real
the
quick.
decriminalization is always a little weird to me. It's like we're not going to take the law that says it's... Did they make it... So they made it legal?
So here's kind of the cross between legalization and decriminalization. Legalization generally involves some kind of regulation from the government of the thing. Yeah. Like weed in Colorado is legalized, so there's government regulations about it. Psilocybin in a recreational sense has not been fully legalized, so there's no kind of like regulation, as far as I'm understanding, about the sale or about how it has to be grown or about commercial growth, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of like the cross point.
Taxed yet?
I don't think so, because there's technically selling psilocybin is still illegal, but growing it and using it yourself is legal.
And like giving it free to a friend who happens to loan you $20 or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what the market price is.
I think that'd be a sale, Peter.
I mean, if it's getting around taxes, let's go.
You would say that, Peter.
Okay, but let's be real. There's not just like millionaires selling. Well, probably are. I'm sure there's. Never mind. Hey, don't let Big Pharma get all the tax breaks.
Psilocybin is a Schedule 1 controlled substance.
Okay, so in the same boat as like cocaine. Probably.
I don't know a lot about the schedules. I really couldn't tell you.
This is an educational show, right?
But it is restricted, essentially.
Let's see. Heroin, LSD, marijuana, ecstasy. Sorry, not ecstasy. Methylendioxine, ecstasy. Methaqualone and peyote.
Okay. Peyote, you mean?
Peyote.
Yeah.
Coyote, whatever.
Okay.
What's the one that Aaron Rodgers took?
What?
Do you know who Aaron Rodgers is? Quarterback for the Packers.
I'm pretty sure that was horse.
We've had this discussion.
No, I think it was not the thing he took for COVID.
Oh.
He took like a trip to Mexico to take a drug. It was like ayahuasca or something.
Ayahuasca.
Oh.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah,
And
he's
he's
also
also
a
really bad
hallucinogen.
this season. So I'm just saying that's like the worst PR ayahuasca's ever gotten. He's crap this season.
Probably what happens when you go to ayahuasca and take like LSD right after a couple years removed from taking horse tranquilizer to get past COVID somehow.
Did he
Not
take-
horse tranquilizer.
I'm pretty sure it was.
No,
That would
it's
be-
probably the
that would be
ivermectin.
ketamine.
Huh?
Ivermectin is probably what he took.
Was it ivermectin?
Yeah, I don't think you
dewormer.
take ketamine to get over.
I thought that he had said that I could be mistaken. This is Ryan, by the way, for those that haven't seen the show. I just now realized that the voice from the
Yeah.
ether just appeared. Sorry.
I'll check for you on
I'm
that one.
pretty certain he said it was horse tranquilizer, but I could be way wrong.
Ivermectin, that was a whole.
Oh God.
Let's look up Aaron Rodgers ivermectin. Oh yeah, he said he took ivermectin.
Yeah.
Which there is a human dosage of that
In
used to
much
treat
smaller
something in much
quantities.
smaller doses.
Yeah.
Which is not as crazy of a thing to take.
It's
and
a horse dewormer
and I'm assuming he took that dewormer. Yeah.
to get the worms out of your horse.
Yeah. Which I mean, we could always use a little less worms in our horse.
Sure, for sure. Thank you, Peter.
Anyway.
That's all the headlines I had for you. Do you want to move on?
Sorry,
to...
I was just looking at these schedule fives.
Oh. Something catching your eye?
So, no, there's Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3, Schedule 4, Schedule 5. Oxycontin is a Schedule 2 one,
Yeah.
which,
I think Schedule 1
Fair.
is supposed to be that there's no medical use for the drug.
yeah. No current accepted
Yeah.
because marijuana. But, I mean,
It should be accepted now. It seems to be pretty
there's
useful.
in some states, yeah. And, okay, and Schedule 2 is high potential for abuse, but sold by Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Oh, cocaine's a Schedule 2, not a Schedule 1.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was pretty sure there was some kind of medicinal use for cocaine.
Focus.
Thanks, Peter. Yep, for sure. That's it. That's what I was thinking of. I've actually heard, I don't know where I was hearing this, but I've heard there's a little bit of controversy about how like the drugs are scheduled and that some of it is not necessarily
marijuana being more heavily restricted than
yeah.
cocaine and Oxycontin seems like, considering
Yeah, honestly,
marijuana you can get addicted to.
a good amount of
But-
stuff on the Schedule 1 list, like the peyote and magic mushrooms, I think they're Schedule 1. I don't think those are worse than Oxy, so that's just, I don't know why they made the list like that exactly.
Probably not more addictive than Oxy.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to move into
Yeah.
elections?
Elections. Yeah.
Speaking of which, this is just a side story. I've told both of you this. I just want to put it out there. I went to Estill County to cover the election results for the Associated Press as a stringer. I get there, it's on fire. Like, I don't. What?
The county generally, not.
Yeah, like the woods, like there's a huge forest fire that I did not know about. It's like 20 minutes upwind from here. So all of campus has been covered in smoke for
Or was, yeah.
it's still hanging around a little.
What? No, it's
Yeah.
not. It rained. It got over it.
But I
I
don't,
haven't-
that's not how that works, Peter.
It kind of is, though.
No.
It rains enough, the smoke
That
goes
is-
away.
Okay.
Water stops fire, generally.
Okay. I don't. Sure, we're not going to talk about air pollution. But no, for the record, I hope everyone in Essel's doing okay. And everyone seemed pretty unconcerned.
Hey.
In the courtroom waiting for election
You
results.
live in the
so
woods.
I hope
Sometimes
they're all
it catches
good.
fire.
But election results kind of was actually. I would say Kentucky did not exactly go as expected.
You
this
expected
time.
Amendment 2 to
I
pass.
certainly
I wasn't
did.
sure.
I did
Yeah.
expect it to pass, and I'm very Amendment 2, which would in effect essentially outlaw abortion in Kentucky.
would have
It's a
said-
lot more complicated.
It would have said
than
there
that.
was no right to abortion
Yeah.
in the Kentucky
It's a
Constitution.
lot more complicated than that. It interplays with a lot of other laws, but what it would do in effect is outlaw abortion because of how it interacts with other rulings and other pieces of legislation.
It would have made it so a judge couldn't overturn an
because
abortion ban.
there was the issue with the abortion ban that was passed. God, was it last year even? Was it just last semester?
I don't know.
I think it might have been. I have no idea. But essentially it required birth and death certificates. That was one combined certificate to be filed for aborted fetuses, but that paperwork did not exist at the time of the ban.
Oh, so it would have effectively in a
So
roundabout
that
way.
has been in court cases and being challenged on both constitutional grounds and administrative grounds since then.
Yeah.
So in effect, like this,
But
the Amendment 2 would have crushed that.
both
case.
amendments went about what 50, I think it was something like 53 to the other amendment in Kentucky was Amendment 1, which changed how it was a pretty like
It changed how legislature could be
Yeah.
called into session, if I remember.
I did not vote on it because I was kind of in a hurry when I was voting, and it was 2 columns of text, and I didn't want to vote one way or the other just on what I'd heard, and I didn't want to read it.
That's fair.
But they lost by about the same amount.
Yeah. Yes, they both failed.
Which is
not. I
it is-
expected them both to pass, honestly.
I didn't expect. Generally, if you have as long of an amendment as that first one is, it will not pass.
Okay.
Just people are like, no, what
For
is
sure.
this? No.
For sure.
In this state, at least. Okay, that's entirely opinion. That's not necessarily factual at all.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I mean, in Kentucky, generally speaking, the Republicans won by a lot. Rand Paul got elected by 20 percentage points.
Yeah, for the positions anyways, which I will say, we were talking about this before we started filming. For someone who didn't really take out any ads, like television, radio ads, big, that kind of stuff, he didn't have as much money behind his campaign from what I understand. Cory Booker did pretty well.
Not Cory Booker.
Charles Booker.
Yeah.
Too many C's and B's, man. Charles Booker did pretty well.
I don't think Cory Booker would have done well. That man is one of the more fake people ever.
Yeah, no, could not have done well in Kentucky, but Charles Booker did pretty well.
I'm going to check this because, okay, so Amy McGrath spent a crap ton running against McConnell.
Mm-hmm.
Like a whole lot of money. And she got 38.2%. Booker did not spend much. He got 38.2%.
Yeah.
They got exactly the same amount. Well, and then there was a libertarian that got 4% against McConnell.
Huh.
But there wasn't a libertarian that ran against Paul because he's already kind of libertarian, at least in theory. But I think people were also sick of Amy McGrath. Do you remember the "I'm a Marine and a Mom" commercial?
Yeah.
You mean you haven't heard she's a Marine and a mom, Peter?
She was a Marine and a mom, Jess.
I feel like you guys.
Every commercial.
Yeah, I
Jess,
mean, I've seen the
she was
commercials.
she was a wife? a mom,
Hey,
and a Marine.
You guys forget that I live here during the school year.
Yes, that's true.
I am from Ohio.
No,
I still live here. I've still seen the ads. I feel
But
like you
Jess-
guys are a lot more upset about
But
this
Jess,
than I am.
did you know that she was a Marine and a mom?
Yeah, I did actually. I've also seen the ads.
It's amazing. Jess.
For sure. Thanks,
Nobody's
Ryan.
ever done that before.
God. I don't know.
Yeah, how much did she raised? Yeah, Amy McGrath raised $94 million for
It's
her
a lot
run
of
against
money.
McConnell and got exactly the percentage of the votes that Charles Booker got.
Yeah.
Charles Booker also had like legitimate ideas,
Yeah, I liked his ideas a lot.
and communicated them well, and I think just seemed like a generally.
I think it would have
Likeable
been
person.
a lot closer of a race if he had the same kind of big money behind his campaign that Rand Paul had.
I'm not sure because at this point I feel like I don't know. I get the feeling that the country's just generally pretty entrenched.
It is very polarized, I'd agree, but also specifically for Charles Booker. We were talking about his platforms before
Yeah.
the election. He has some specific policy and issue
Yeah.
stuff that I think would appeal to some kind of more like centrist,
Yeah.
right-leaning Kentucky voters.
So I'd also say Rand Paul's platform is I hate the government. And that's very popular in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like, so, I don't know. Yeah. Let's see. But yeah, that race was not that. Booker did well for the amount of support he got.
Yeah.
It's weird that he got pretty much no support when McGrath got so much.
I feel like it's in part just that
McGrath lost so badly.
people are sick of McConnell.
People are sick of McConnell.
I'm not even
that's a fair
from
point.
here, and I'm sick of McConnell.
Republicans are sick of McConnell.
Get him out
somebody,
of here.
Somebody good run against him in the primary, please.
Get him out of here.
Uh,
Get rid of him. I understand that he brings home a lot of money to Kentucky. I don't care. I'm tired of him. You know?
yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Let's see. Booker won 3 counties. Fayette by a lot.
Yeah.
Frankfort by a little.
Yep.
And Jefferson, which is better than some candidates have done. Because sometimes
sure.
the Democrats don't even win Frankfort.
For those that don't know, that live out of Kentucky that watch the show, those 3 counties you just listed include 2 of our biggest cities and our capital. So this man, yes, won 3, but he owned Louisville, Lexington, and Frankfort, which is our capital. So if that says anything, I think that says a lot more about Charles Booker than it does about the voting turnout, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
He won very important counties.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, also the very liberal. Well, pretty liberal. Frankfurt's pretty 50-50, as evidenced by the fact that
And he
won
won
it
it, so,
by
like,
pretty 50-50.
He's doing pretty good.
And then House, well, the Senate on the broader national scale, Joe Manchin's back in control. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
For now, right? Because that's until
It depends
the
what
Georgia
happens
runoff.
with the Georgia runoff because
Yeah.
the Georgia Warnock got 49.4% of the vote,
Yeah.
and Herschel Walker got 48 point something, and
Yes.
some libertarian or
Yeah,
independent
it
got
was a
1.8,
libertarian candidate.
which
Got like a weirdly
1.8, yeah.
yeah, a pretty good amount of the vote for
I'm
a
surprised
libertarian candidate.
he didn't get more,
Really?
considering how flawed Herschel Walker is as a candidate and person.
That's fair.
Um,
That's
but there's always the like his
yeah.
vote in the Senate is more important than who he is as a person.
Yeah, that's
which-
actually kind of what I'm concerned about going into the Georgia runoff because I think
I
it's
think-
pretty clear which candidate I support.
Yeah.
But the missing kind of percentage between the two of them to get either over the bar really
I think it's gonna
is
go
that
Walker's way.
libertarian, huh?
I think it's gonna go Walker's way.
And I don't want that. That's what I'm saying is that that extra bit of the vote went to the libertarian candidate. I don't know if enough of them could flip or that they could get out enough vote to get Warnock in.
The only upside of that is then Congress can't do anything, and sometimes I'm okay with Congress not doing anything.
I'm not. We are running out of time to do stuff. The planet is burning.
Well, yeah, but Congress isn't going to fix that.
They can do something,
That's
which
a
is
fair
more
point.
than nothing.
That's a fair point.
And I would take something over nothing, honestly, at this point.
But it is pretty deadlocked. It looks like Republicans have the House.
Yeah.
In Kentucky,
I will say not by as far as a margin as they were expecting.
yeah, because there was like this weird. I feel like the narrative about the race flipped in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It went from like, okay, the Democrats are probably going to keep it, to red wave, to it's like the same as it was.
I've been laughing a lot actually about that kind of narrative of all these like hardline conservatives being like, the red wave is coming for you. We're gonna take all the seats. You're gonna lose so bad. And then it was the weakest turnout they've had in years.
I mean, you run a TV doctor in Pennsylvania. you run a guy that has like. You run Herschel Walker in Georgia. You run Doug Mastriano for the governor of Pennsylvania, which should have been probably a win if you put any decent candidate out there. And you run a guy that is like, Trump got the election stolen from him. He probably doesn't sound like that. And apologies if you do sound like that, and I'm making you sound like Doug Mastriano. But part of the problem, and I saw this a lot, was typically when you lose an election, like the Republicans did in 2020, you kind of take a second to step back, consider who you're running, consider what you need to change about your platform. When Trump's like, I didn't actually lose, then you don't have that moment to be like, what do we need to change? What do we need to do better? What do we need that? And that's why this election went so poorly, is because the Republicans were like, we didn't actually lose last election. Everybody loves us. And that's why you run people like Carrie Lake in Arizona, who is, I think, has she been confirmed as losing yet? It's like,
I don't know if she's.
Arizona's taking all the time.
I think the votes have come out that she's lost, but she has not conceded. Unless she did so in the last like 12 hours. From what I remember.
Yeah, it looks like Hobbs has won. Not by a lot. 16,000 votes.
Yeah. I also Peter sent me this. It's a tweet thread. And it is this long letter from Carrie Lake saying thank you to Liz Cheney for buying this negative ad about her, telling people not to vote for Carrie Lake because actually it's driving my votes up. Liz Cheney did not respond until after the election, at which point Carrie Lake had lost, and it was confirmed essentially that she'd lost. And then Liz Cheney tweeted and said, "You're welcome." That's a murder right there. I love that.
Well, did you see the tweet underneath it that was like, when a Cheney shoots someone that...
Yes, I did see that.
Anyway, no, mad respect for Liz Cheney.
That was an absolute just...
No, but Carrie Lake also was like, she was like, you know what I don't need? I don't need people who voted for McCain or who respected McCain as a person to vote for me. I don't need those votes. And she didn't get them. And so Doug, I do not know how to pronounce his name. Doug Ducey, the current governor. I'm trying to find what his... No, not that one. The 2016 election results for him. Okay. So, Doug Ducey, a Republican, won in 2014 with he won in 2014 by 12 percentage points. It's
a pretty strong lead.
Yeah. 12 percentage points. And Carrie Lake here goes, Yeah, I don't need any of those people that voted for him. Well, apparently a lot of people respected John McCain for being a solid statesman and person, and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, we don't need him or his votes. Personally, I'm of the opinion that if the Republican Party just decided to run sane people, they'd like win everything. They'd win a lot of things. They would definitely have the Senate if they'd been like, oh, let's not run Herschel Walker. And I mean, the reason Herschel Walker got through the primary.
Sane. I thought you said the same, and I was
sane.
Huh? Yeah.
No.
Oh, for sure.
The reason Herschel Walker got through the primary was because Donald Trump endorsed him, not divorced him. Herschel Walker does that on his own. But the reason he lost the general was because he's maybe a worse person than Trump, like character-wise. He's up there.
I don't know if we can quantify who's worse when you get to be that bad of a guy. You know?
Yeah. And in some ways, I mean, you can blame it on the CTE. But never mind. That's probably not a good place to go.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm just like I'm glad that in some ways I'm glad that Republicans didn't get the Senate back, even though I generally support their platform more, because you're running these candidates. You're running Oz. You're running Walker. You didn't deserve to win those races.
Speaking of the Pennsylvania,
you're running Blake Masters in Arizona, who I don't know. Well, also like Blake Masters, part of his platform was like this dumb astronaut. Like he's an astronaut. That's like the most admired profession. He goes to space for a living. Like that's hard to beat, right? Mark Kelly's a hard guy to beat, right? That's kind of like, I mean, I don't know. There's not really a comparison to running an astronaut. Like, it's an astronaut. He goes to space. And Blake Masters is like, oh, that's lame. And, like, trying to flame him on Twitter. That's not going to work.
You know what?
He's an astronaut.
For the record, Peter, what does an astronaut know about government?
I feel like they are good at, seeing the big picture. Space puns. Anyway.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
Well, I mean, he's not the first astronaut senator, because there's John Glenn.
that doesn't change my. What do either of them know about government?
I don't know, but saying, hey, this guy's an astronaut, you've got to be pretty smart to be an astronaut, and you've got to be disciplined enough to, get in the shape, do the things that you need to do to be an astronaut.
No, I agree that trying to dunk on him and say, this guy's a loser, he's an astronaut, that's not going to work. But there's just, like, I'm just confused by how, like, why?
Anyway.
What is the connection there?
Sorry. I don't know.
Yeah. But Pennsylvania race, I saw Fetterman made a TikTok where it's like a news section, and they're like, will it be the TV Dr. Oz or Fetterman? And it just ends, and it's him in his hoodie, and he goes, "It me." That's the end of the video. He just, I love him.
I'm not gonna make a joke about him only using 2 words anyway.
But it's a meme, Peter.
I'm aware.
It's a meme.
I'm
Do you know
aware.
What memes are?
I know what memes are. Jeez, we're bullying up in here.
Yeah, don't be mean to Fetterman. He has an audio processing disorder, and that is not his fault.
Fetterman?
I didn't say it was his fault.
He might be my favorite person ever, not because like I agree with his politics, or not because of anything other than the fact that he makes me laugh. So have you guys ever checked out his like campaign website, like about his issues and stuff? So he has a 5-part plan, and I'm looking at it right now. It's hold Washington accountable, okay? Mm-hmm. He's got, and they go into super detail, but he's got, like, before you press on it, it's just a 5-point bulletin, okay? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to read you what they say, okay?
Yes.
And then I'll go in a little bit deeper, because I was reading this the other day, and it cracks me up. The first point, make more crap, but he doesn't say crap, in America. This is on a official politician's. It cracks me up. Then he says, cut taxes for working people, ban Congress from trading stocks, slash out-of-pocket healthcare costs, and end immoral price gouging. So specifically for the ban Congress from trading stocks, he calls congressmen simps for stocks
For sure.
on his official page. And if you'll give me,
I don't know who's running his campaign, but they're doing a phenomenal
so
job.
Funny. Hold on, I want to find the word.
He knows what the
They
kids
said
want.
get the youth vote, which is smart.
Yeah, and it worked. That's another
Yeah.
narrative I've been seeing coming out of the election is that they expected to have this massive red wave because they didn't expect 18 to 20-year-olds.
Which is fair
to vote.
considering they typically haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And
I
then they
was
did.
wrong. I was incorrect. So he calls congressmen simp or lawmakers simps for the slashing out-of-pocket healthcare costs. So he says, and I quote, let's see here. We've got to end the stranglehold of healthcare costs on American families by instituting a cap on out-of-pocket costs. We don't need any more simps for Big Pharma in the Senate.
Yeah.
There
Let's
are already
go,
plenty.
Fetterman. I love him a lot.
Way to go.
What a guy.
I also respect his style.
The only reason,
He's just chilling.
I'm not that I
it's
dislike
kinda
what he's
weird,
saying,
but-
not that I like what he's saying. I'm not going to take a side on either or, but it's just hilarious that these are the things that are found on an official politician who is now, he actually won in Pennsylvania. This is
Yeah.
now a man of our
Yeah.
government
Yeah.
on a federal level. This is the type of verbiage he's using. It is fantastic, and I actually cry laughing. Like, it's so freaking funny.
I mean, you hope that this translates into an actual action. That's always
Yeah.
that's always the. It usually doesn't. I mean, that's just the nature of things. Is it usually does not. Because
But he's certainly going to try. I believe him.
yeah,
I believe him. You know who my ideal candidate is?
no.
Gritty. I want Gritty in Congress.
The funny thing, I was reading this and I was like, he's running as a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Okay?
I mean, he's just like a Philadelphia sports fan, just like
Yeah.
kind of angry, but like down to get stuff that like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Gritty.
And Oz was running as some TV doctor from New Jersey.
Yeah, what a
Um,
loser. Honestly, been scamming my grandma since I was 6. Screw that guy.
Wait, what?
Yeah, no, literally, okay. I have personal beef with Dr. Oz because both of my grandmas would watch his show and be like, oh, yeah, that's so smart. That is so smart. For the audience at home who may not know, I have a joint disorder, so my bones crack and have always since all my joints make cracking noises constantly. And both my grandparents would be like, stop cracking your knuckles, you'll get arthritis. And the one good thing Dr. Oz ever did for me was to say, that was me knocking, it's okay. You're right. Peter, for everyone just listening, Peter looked afraid. But the one good thing he ever did for me was be like, no, it won't give you arthritis. It's just the space between your bones popping. There's nothing wrong with it. And that's not even true because you can do damage to your joints if you pop them so much.
What?
Yeah, if you do it a lot, you can do a little bit of damage to your joints. Don't worry about it. You can just be like me. It's fine.
No offense, but I'd rather not.
Uh-huh, for sure. Thank you. Much appreciated. Mm-hmm.
Don't.
Yeah. Thanks, Peter.
Don't
That's
worry.
on the record. Yeah, no, but all my grandmas have been doing crazy stuff since I was little because they're listening to this random guy on TV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my grandmother, when she got older and like watched TV a lot, it was Judge Judy and Jeopardy. She chose well.
You know what? My grandma's shows, one grandma was Dr. Oz, Judge Judy, and General Hospital. And the other grandma was The Price is Right, Dr. Oz, and Dr. Phil. Which are some choices, to be sure.
Yeah. Let's see. You want to talk about Ohio a little bit because that was kind of a key race.
We can talk about Ohio a little bit.
Vance won by a little. DeWine won like absolutely smoked Whaley.
I expected it, and it's not what I wanted, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't. What does anyone expect from me? I'm not happy about it. Okay,
Yeah, that's
that's where
fair.
I'm at.
I think we got to talk Florida.
Oh, Florida.
Because what I'm seeing is DeSantis is looking to be the main challenger to Trump, which
is interesting because he keeps saying that, oh no, I don't want to take on Trump. We're friends, actually.
Well, that's starting to go
I know it's
go
starting
away
to go
more
away.
as I think.
Trump he's immediately been like, screw this guy. I see he's gonna come for me, but DeSantis is trying to be. It seems like he's trying to be a little bit wily about it, trying to hold on to that Trump appeal for as long as he can.
Which, I mean, it's tricky because Trump just like is so weird. The whole phenomenon of Donald Trump is so weird because he did sort of just like, he took the Republican Party, which had been saying character mattered for a long time. That's why they ran John McCain. That's why they ran Mitt Romney. Both guys who, kind of regardless of what you can, like, whatever you think of their policies, kind of like upstanding people in terms of personal life.
I would not say that about Mitt Romney. We can say that about McCain.
I don't know.
There was a whole big scandal. This is the big one I remember. He put his dog in a dog cage and strapped it to his roof and then drove for like hours. And there's other stuff in his personal life that's a little gross, but that's the one that always pisses me off. That's the one I hold against him.
But let's compare that to Trump.
I'm not saying he's as bad a guy as Trump. I'm just not saying that he's unproblematic king over here.
Well,
McCain is pretty beloved across the board.
Yeah.
I get that. He's just a guy. I don't have any beef with McCain, really. I don't agree with his politics, but like, whatever.
But there was a reason they picked him over Newt Gingrich and
for sure
fellas like that. And then they say, well, let's just go on a complete. And the reason that McCain and Mitt Romney lost was because Barack Obama was a really solid candidate. Mm-hmm. Again, I disagree with him on a lot of things, but he was a good candidate. He was well-spoken. He was charismatic. He was young. There was a lot of reasons he was a good candidate. It wasn't because Mitt Romney and McCain were bad candidates, because they really, in a lot of ways, they were pretty solid candidates. But they said, you know what? We're just fundamentally running the wrong type of candidates. Let's get this guy who's famous for a show where he fires people, and not only famous for a show where he fires people, but has been like a horrible person to women his entire life.
Not just women, kind of
everybody. Yes,
yeah,
but
kind of everyone.
Yeah, but like I remember one of the moments where people were like, well, we're completely done with him now. And one of the moments where I was like, oh, well, no way he comes back from this was the Access Hollywood tapes where he was like, you just grab him.
I think you have to remember, because this is something I knew when this happened,
yeah.
was that there are plenty of people in the U.S. that also hate women just as much, that do not care that he said that. Even people who will on face value be like, oh, you shouldn't say that, it's so awful, will still vote for him. Yeah. Because they still do not care enough about women to not vote for him.
Because probably in some ways when he was like, that's locker room talk, it's not all locker room talk, but it probably is some locker room talk.
Which is gross and
Which
nasty,
is gross.
And don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, and that wasn't to normalize it, but that was to say the fact that he didn't utterly sink at that point shows that probably some people, and also Trump was an alternative to Hillary Clinton, who is one of the most hated people in America, right up there with Trump, which I don't understand. To this day, it is so crazy to me that we're like, let's run the people that are running it right around 53% of the nation hates them every year. Let's just do that and then say, who do you hate least, right? And the reason Biden beat Trump was because Biden is he's one of the most milquetoast candidates ever, right? Yeah. He's not exciting. He's not interesting. He's not particularly controversial. This
is how I described that election, was that like we've got a moldy onion in the back of the fridge or a dumpster fire hurtling towards a preschool.
Yeah.
So I'm
the moldy onion's boring. We'll take it.
I'm gonna pick the moldy onion, but I don't want that either.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't understand.
I'll say, DeSantis won 59 against a pretty. He got almost 60% of the vote in Florida, which is typically pretty close. Against Charlie Crist, who is so flawed a candidate, you'd think it was the Republicans running him. but he had anyway. So he beat. Let's see, Marco Rubio was running for Senate, and Rubio got like 53% of the vote. DeSantis got more like 59. So
wasn't there? I may be mistaking this and getting confused. Wasn't the first Gen Z member of Congress elected from Florida?
could be.
That's
What
what I
name?
thought so. I don't remember the name. That's why I think I might be getting confused.
Well, let's the Google man. Maxwell Alejandro. Maxwell Frost.
Yes, that's
Becomes the first Gen Z member of
yes.
Congress.
Indeed, if I remember correctly, then he is also a leftist.
District 10 of Florida.
That means nothing to me, for sure.
Solidly blue district. So
Yeah.
yeah, likely.
Hats off to Maxwell, I'll say.
25. I guess that
Yeah.
would be the age you'd have to be.
Indeed.
For
sure.
You
Yep.
can't do that until then. Give me 3 years. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but DeSantis won pretty big in a swing state, and a lot of Trump-endorsed candidates that like he'd stumped for in the primary lost.
Yeah, I will also say though.
You
is
don't like
Florida-
DeSantis,
No,
but
I don't like
is
him.
Florida a swing state? at
Is
this
Florida
point?
really a swing state anymore?
There is that question. Like it is going more. It's more of the pink state now than it
It's
used to
been
be.
going red for a while, and honestly, here's my personal theory about that. I think that has to do a lot with it being the retirement state. It's where
Partly
old,
that. I
rich
think a lot of
people
people moved there during COVID because they liked how DeSantis handled COVID.
which is that he didn't.
Which, compared to what some people did, is a lot better. I'd argue.
What?
We're not going to argue COVID regulations right now. Here's the thing. Nobody really did anything that stopped COVID from a governmental level because Americans will not stay away from each other.
I mean, there were certainly states that did a lot better than others
At various times.
in general. I think the death numbers coming out of like Ohio are still lower than
Yeah.
Florida
Maybe Ohioans hate each other.
have been. No. It's just that we had our governor constantly telling
Yeah,
us that
that
we're
your
going
grandmother
to kill
will die.
grandma if
Well,
we go see grandma.
I mean,
So
we had
it's
Beshear doing that, and I would guess that our numbers are higher than Ohio's.
probably, but Kentucky also is not the same as Ohio.
It's true. That's always the case.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I think there's there are some good things to DeSantis in that he's been running there's a lot of good things to DeSantis compared to Trump. I mean, there's good things to most people compared to Trump. I know you hate DeSantis.
The only thing I can think of is that he's sane, I guess. And he's less old. Nothing
there's
else that's really good from my point of view.
Compared to Trump, you can think he's sane, less old. There's a whole lot of things that he's run a state. He's capable of governing in a way that doesn't absolutely let the wheels come off. Trump hasn't shown that.
For sure. That falls under sane also.
Well, I don't know if that's true. I think you can be a completely sane person and be a terrible governor.
I don't know about that because you don't run it by yourself. You have a whole bunch of
That's true.
aides. You have a whole legislature, advisors. I wouldn't be surprised if there are people in Congress who are just entirely puppets for their aides and their advisors and other people. back
Maybe
in
they
their
all are.
states.
I saw really interesting. Okay. Anyway,
Thanks, Peter, for sure. Yep.
it's the deep state, man.
Okay.
Oh.
I was more along the lines of like it's probably a lot of like
Lobbyists.
Lobbyists.
Which is why the federal government should have less to do with our day-to-day lives. But yeah, I think
That's the way to solve that.
that's part of it. I think if something's controlled by corporations that you don't like, maybe part of the solution is giving that thing that is controlled by corporations you don't like a whole lot less power.
I think maybe the opposite option is to cut away the corporations.
Yeah, but that's a lot of work. Okay.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay.
We should do we could probably go with that in Texas about talking about solutions to getting money out of politics.
What?
Getting money out of politics and
Oh, yeah, I think it should just be there should be less personal benefit, I think, to being in Congress, being in political power, because that incentivizes the wrong kind of people.
Yeah.
Because you get people who just want to go and get their money and their fame, and they have an ego trip out of it. They like the power, and they're not interested in legislating or making things better for anyone or actually delivering any kind of policy change.
Yeah, most of the people you see that you feel like, oh, they're like a good person with good goals for Congress don't stay in Congress very long.
No.
I don't know how you feel about Ben Sass, but recently became the president of the University of Florida.
I'm not super familiar with him.
Yeah. Senator from Nebraska. Just kind of he said a lot of things I agree with, and I think he said them well and kind of has some good ideas of what is wrong with Congress. But he's like, I'm going to go be a university president and not be a senator, because why would you want to be a senator? Like,
yeah, if you're like a legitimately idealistic person who's trying to go in, who wants to do the work of legislating, and you get in there and just everyone else is screwing around and sitting there racking up money and power.
Well, we've covered most of the races, I feel like.
I think we have
Trump declared candidacy last night?
Yeah, that was one of our vice versa headlines. It said he's running again.
I think it'll be interesting to see. Anyway.
It'll be tired.
Yeah.
I don't want him to go away.
Well, what were we gonna do for our last little segment?
Favorite Thanksgiving sides, because we're coming up on Thanksgiving. I don't really celebrate. It's more of just like I eat dinner with my extended family kind of a thing. But I will say that I'm kind of split on best Thanksgiving side between mac and cheese, because it depends on who makes the mac and cheese.
Okay.
Whether or not it's the best. But regardless of who makes the mac and cheese, chicken and noodles. I don't know if it's the same here as it is. I've never had
that as a side.
Okay. It's more of like a West Virginia thing, because that's where my dad's family is from. It is like thick egg noodles with chicken and like a creamy broth sauce situation.
So like a cross between like dumplings and like chicken soup.
Noodles. Yeah, it's like a cross. It's a lot. It's close to what would be chicken and dumplings.
Is it a soup or is it a casserole?
Neither.
Whoa.
It's something you like scoop out with a ladle and put. It's
like a stew, but with chicken.
A little thicker than a stew. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not like a thin broth. It's like a thick creamy broth. Kind of like the same consistency as mac and cheese.
It sounds good.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
I might have to smuggle some or get my grandma to make some.
Now, my family has never done mac and cheese as a side for Thanksgiving.
Really?
And we like the family recipe for mac and cheese is really killer. It's like, I mean, simple. It's cheddar, a massive block of cheddar cheese, butter, milk, noodles, breadcrumbs. Bacon is actually in the recipe, but it's so good you don't need it, which is rare. Cranberry salad is up there. Now, I love green bean casserole, but cranberry salad. Now, do you have anything like cranberry salad-ish?
We have canned cranberry that you put on your turkey.
That is not the same thing. And that's fine on turkey, because turkey needs something. But
I eat mine dry. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Without gravy?
No, I hate gravy. I don't know if we've had this conversation.
I think this might be our most severe
I don't
disagreement
really
yet.
eat condiments as a general thing. No gravy, no ketchup, no mustard, no mayonnaise.
Okay, ketchup is nasty.
It's disgusting. I'm glad you agree. But
ketchup, well, okay, like a good homemade ketchup that's actually tomatoes is good.
No.
But like Heinz, not to call it Heinz, but Heinz ketchup is bad. or like the ones that are like almost 50% corn syrup. You know,
Yeah, I just don't
those are
like
terrible.
I
It's
don't
just
like
like acid.
any
Anyway.
condiment.
Oh, I love most condiments. I literally drink ranch.
No. He mixes it with Sprite.
Anyway, but back
Everyone,
to Thanksgiving
he mixes
sides.
it with Sprite.
So cranberry salad. What would you think of when you think cranberry salad?
Is it like the dessert cranberry salad?
It's the dessert cranberry salad.
Yeah,
It's marshmallows, pineapple, whipped cream, cranberries. It's
Yeah.
mostly marshmallows, but
My friend
it sounds
likes it a
healthier if
lot.
you call
I've
it
never
cranberry salad. It
eaten
is
any
so
of it.
good. Yeah, that's a great side.
That's a separate question though. Is Thanksgiving desserts?
Oh, okay. So the stuffing's really good. Turkey stuffing's good.
Dessert?
No, not for
Okay.
dessert. No,
Okay,
I was
I
talking.
was
I was
like,
talking if I had
what?
to pick something else
Okay.
besides. Sweet potato casserole is really good without marshmallows on top because all you need is like that. Like, I think it's walnuts and like brown sugar glaze.
See, that's also a classic that my family does not eat.
So good.
None of that.
I love sweet potatoes.
We have
Trying to think
King's Hawaiian rolls.
Yes,
Yes.
we have a spinach dip that our second cousins that come up from Tennessee most years make.
Okay.
It's amazing they scoop out a loaf of King's Hawaiian and put it inside it,
Ooh, okay.
and it is I could eat that. It is so good. It is probably the most unhealthy thing you can do to spinach, but it is delicious.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I love. Okay, my family goes hard for Thanksgiving meals, and I it is one of food wise is my favorite holiday by far.
That's fair.
It is, and yeah,
That's fair.
it is.
I will also answer favorite dessert because you put out yours.
Yeah.
It's either pumpkin pie or my aunt specifically makes these little Oreo cream cheese truffle balls. Have you never had them? They're little balls usually covered in chocolate.
Sound good?
They're delicious. I'll have to make them because I guess you guys have you had them, Ryan? I love Oreo balls. Yeah. Okay. See, he gets it. It's crushed up Oreos and cream cheese and sugar, and you blend it up and roll it into balls and cover it in chocolate.
I mean, that sounds awesome.
And you eat them. Oh, they're delicious. They're delicious. My aunt makes those, and those would probably be my favorite.
Yeah, those sound good. We also have. My family goes hard on pies.
Respect.
We got the
Respect.
blackberry sour cream pie.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's funky, but it's delicious. Yeah, usually we also have that one. Apple pie, of course.
Okay. Yeah.
It's
Classic.
hard to beat a good
Classic.
apple pie. Apple pie with like vanilla bean ice cream,
Mhm.
delicious. But pumpkin pie is amazing too.
Ryan, would you like to share your favorite side and dessert?
I'm kind of basic with the sides. So fun fact, my family's like splintered, so there are like 4 or 5 different Thanksgivings that I can attend at any given Thursday or any given, whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't there is no like famous side that anyone gives. It's just like everyone just kind of gives like the basics. So like the mac and cheese with the breadcrumbs and the bacon, that's like something I really enjoy. I'm a good mashed potato, like homemade mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Dude,
With
there's
gravy.
yes, there is
No.
nothing. Sometimes you don't even need the gravy. Like
See?
just a good homemade mashed potato.
If you get enough like buttermilk in there.
Yeah, like that's when I say mashed potatoes, it's so basic. People are like, ugh, but it's when it's
No,
made
it
right,
is,
it's
yeah.
delicious. And my favorite dessert is pumpkin pie. Like there is nothing better than a good pumpkin pie. Sometimes I will just get one to get one, like just because I love pumpkin pie so much. So
It's not a bad move.
I love.
Respect.
I don't know what it is. I know a lot of people that do not like pumpkin pie.
Really?
Yes.
It is kind of a different. I can see if you're really picky about textures, pumpkin pie could be weird to you. I'm
Yeah.
not picky. I mean, I drink Sprite
Not
with
like-
ranch. I'm not picky about
Like,
texture.
dude, like around this time of year, and I'm actually gonna get it at Walmart. They sell for like 90 cents. There are these like little like cakes, and they have like icing on it.
Yes.
They're pumpkin cake, and it's
Yeah.
like they're like sheets of like they look like bread, and it's just like one piece, and then like I get like 10 of them. Like I literally they're like little hooks on the side of the aisle, not even in the aisle. It's like on the outskirts. I will like clear the whole thing. I will spend like $10 on these because like I love them so much, and they only come out around this time of year.
Oh, okay. I will amend my statement. Better than the other 2 desserts. Pumpkin roll with cream cheese filling.
pumpkin roll is so good.
Yes.
Pumpkin roll.
We
Yes.
never have it at Thanksgiving, but we
Yes.
usually have it once, twice around Thanksgiving. Pumpkin
Yeah.
roll's good.
Yeah.
Pumpkin roll is delicious. I don't know if you heard me because I didn't unmute myself when Jess was asking about the Oreo balls. I love Oreo balls. That's another really good dessert for any time, actually, not just quite Thanksgiving, but
Yeah.
yeah. So
Like some things at Thanksgiving, you're like, this is so unhealthy. It's probably a good thing we only have it once a year.
right.
But like desserts, they're always unhealthy. So
Yeah.
and we eat them anyway. So I feel like pumpkin pie should be a more, well, I guess
It is a very
it's okay to
seasonal
confine
thing
it.
about the pumpkins.
I'm a
but-
little controversial about Thanksgiving though. I eat more ham than I do turkey. I'm a big ham guy. I love ham.
No.
See, turkey's fine.
I actually
fine.
really like
I
turkey.
love turkey.
But the
I'm a turkey
favorite,
girl.
my favorite thing about the turkey and how we do it is the next day we always go hiking on Black Friday,
Oh, that's
which is a
sweet.
great tradition.
Yeah.
You know, burn a
Yeah.
little bit of that calories, right? But it doesn't really help because we also have turkey salad sandwiches, which are amazing. They're so much better than chicken salad sandwiches. I don't know why. Chicken salad sandwiches are amazing.
I
though.
really like turkey. It's just something about because I usually eat both. Like wherever I go, no matter what. Like I told you, there are like 4 or 5 I could go to every year. But every time I go, there's always ham and turkey, and I will get like the ratio is like 2 pieces of ham to 1 turkey. So like I will have like 6 pieces of ham and 3 pieces of turkey because like it's Thanksgiving and why
Yeah.
wouldn't I? And then polish that off with my pumpkin pie, and I am the happiest person on the planet.
Yeah.
Respect.
But yeah, I usually eat more ham than I do turkey. Nothing wrong with turkey. Ham is good.
Fair.
Chicken and noodles.
Chicken and noodles.
Yeah.
I'll have to see if my grandma will give me the recipe. Maybe I can bring it to the potluck.
Ooh. I need to
Um,
figure out what I'm bringing to that.
you do
I
that.
forget that exists until the message comes through, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
And, yeah, it's on
I
the
could bring
first.
mac and cheese.
don't forget. I'm going to forget.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Okay.
I still have to get my. Anyway, that's not for the podcast.
Yeah, this is we're kind of just chit chatting now. We should probably wrap up.
Thanks for watching.
So, this has been Wilson versus Wilson. I'm Jess Wilson,
I'm Peter Wilson.
and we will catch you next time for our last show of the semester. Thank you for watching. Bye.
We'd like to thank you for supporting the Eastern Progress Media Network.